One of the biggest skills that you can develop, make sure that this is set right, is being okay with totally effing up. 100%. Making a fool out of yourself. And I remember I would be so there are two stories. One was how I became a really good public speaker, and it was not a pretty sight. The second is what I'll share right now, is that for most of my life, in school especially, I would never raise my hand. I would never ask questions. I would never answer questions. I was always way too scared to make a mistake. And I would wait and see, as the only time I would ever answer is if I was called on, or if I really 100% knew the answer and everybody else who had raised their hand was wrong. And I remember, almost in a little bit of a self-righteous way, I would laugh at the people who raised their hands, and I would, internally laugh, raise their hands and were wrong. Yet here I am, complete wuss, not willing to take the risk of looking like an idiot. Especially with with your high school classes, or any class that you're going to be with them for at least 3 months or maybe more in the entire year. So now you mess up, and everyone's going to remember that mess up for a year, right? But it was always the guys or the girls who would continually put themselves out there, raise their hand, answer questions, try to answer questions, that inevitably were the popular kids in school. And it wasn't because of anything special. In fact, it was only because they got in their reps. They got okay with being wrong. They got okay with failing. And they become popular because, guess what? If they are confident enough to answer a question and get it wrong, they're going to be confident enough to go and run for school board. They're going to be confident enough to do that talent show. They're going to be confident enough to go and talk to the opposite sex. They're going to be confident enough to do more and more and more. And here I am, and in the back going, if they only knew how smart I was, if they only knew how intelligente I was, in a condescending attitude internally in my mind, and thinking that I'm so smart, I'm so great, I'm this, I'm that. And ultimately, I was one of the biggest nerds. Yeah, I had a decent social circle. Yes, I was likable, but in reality, I did maybe about 1% of what I really wanted in school. I talked to 1% of the people I wanted to talk to. I hung around 1% of the people I wanted to hang around. I built a persona of kind of being the, what's that called? Like the more of like a dunce, more of a somebody who is just getting on the teacher's nerves all the time, because I didn't really do anything either. So as I ended up growing into a young man, I joined the military. And in the military, two times I was about to join the military. The second time I actually did. The first time I was going to be an aircraft weapons systems mechanic, which I'm so glad I didn't, because I am not that type of guy. I'm not a mechanical type guy. Okay. The second time, so I ended up bowing out, and it was a long story. I'm not going to go into it. The second time I went back, it was right after 9/11, and I'm hot and ready to go. And the recruiters are like, "Oh my gosh, you scored really high on the ASVAB," which is the kind of the entrance exam type thing to assess how smart you are. And they're like, you could pick anything you want. You should be an intelligence analyst. And I'm thinking, okay, that sounds smart. That sounds fun. And what is that? What is it? And they're like, oh, you just sit behind a computer all day. You do stuff on the computer. And I'm thinking, that's perfect. I don't have to talk to anyone. I don't have to get in front of anyone. I don't have to take risks. I don't have to do anything like that, right? Oh, no, of course not. No. Uh, just in case you didn't know, recruiters for the military, and I'm guessing this is in every country in the world, they all lie. All of them. And so I get to boot camp, get through that, and I get to my school, my advanced school, which is for the intelligence analyst. And they welcome us and they give kind of a rundown of what intelligence analysts do. And one of the main things these guys do, which I was going to be a part of, is they public speak pretty much every day. It might be in front of a general, it might be in front of a captain, it might be in front of an admiral, it might be in front of a 4-star general, it might be in front of a lieutenant. It doesn't matter. You all, pretty much every day, and definitely every week, you are going to get in front of somebody and give a synopsis of what's going on with the battlefield, going on with supply chains, going on with all this. So that was quite a shock. And so I get to the classes and we're learning how to analyze the battlefield, how to map things out, how to see composition of enemy units, and it was really cool stuff. But then came the public speaking part. So we had to get in front of our commander at the time. And I remember he was a captain, which a captain in the Army is like an 03, so it's on the officer scale, it's like 3 up. Not really high ranking, but here I am, brand new, in front of the captain. I'm shaking. I'm like, I could barely get through it. I'm surprised they didn't drag me off the where we were speaking and move me and just get somebody else on there. I totally effed up. And over and over and over again, I ended up getting a little better and a little better and a little better and a little better. And then I took that knowledge, because I was in the reserves, I took that knowledge and I went back to college and we had to do public speaking there, whether it was through a speech class or through just projects that we had to present in front of people. And I took that knowledge and the habits that I got from failing so much during that time into school. And I was doing better than the other people there. I still wasn't great, but comparatively to the other students, I was much better. And then from there, I ended up getting deployed to the Middle East, and it was every day I had to brief a Navy captain. So a Navy captain is the same as like is the same as a colonel in the Army. So colonel is 06? Yeah, 06. So they're pretty high ranking. They're right below a general. So she was a captain, which would be a colonel. So she was an 06, right before an admiral. And so every day I would brief her and her staff in the Navy, because they were bringing supplies through the what was that called? The Strait of Hormuz, between Kuwait, Iraq up here, and Iran. And then you had Yemen and so on. I think it's Strait of Hormuz has been in the news lately again. But it's the strait that can deliver all of these goods to these countries, right? And so it's a very important place. And so I'd brief them, and then every weekend I would brief a 1-star, 2-star, sometimes up to 4-star generals. Okay. And the 4-star generals, usually I didn't have to brief them specifically, but they would be in the room. Okay. And then on top of that, there'd be hundreds of people watching, because it's like these big like situation rooms where you have like the seats that went up, almost like a theater. And it was every week. So every week, just getting boom, boom, more and more and more practice. The initial failures started turning into successes and successes and successes. And as time went on, my staff and I were invited to speak for other things because we got so good at public speaking. And when I got out and back and started doing business, speaking on stage for like the Orange County Social Media Summit, speaking for members of the White House, speaking for Latinos in social media, speaking at WeWork, speaking all these different places became it was second nature, because all of those failures, all of those things were so part of my life. And just like when you learn basketball, just like when you learn a sport, just like when you learn how to skateboard or something, you're going to fail in the beginning, but eventually it becomes second nature. It's almost like an extended part of you. And that said, things got easier and easier and easier and easier and easier. None of that could be possible if there was no roadblocks, failures, obstacles. In fact, I would not be a public speaker if I wasn't tricked into literally having to do it. If I could not say no, got tricked into public speaking. Even with these videos right now, it's one of the reasons why I can pause, I can think. I don't have to say stumble over my words. I can be okay with one person listening. I can be okay with 1,000 people listening, 10,000 people, 1,000,000 people listening. None of it matters. I'm not in my head. I'm not thinking, oh, well, what if this doesn't do well? What if I don't do well? There's a detachment. And that is the way everything is in life that's important, whether it is talking to an important person that's important to you. It might be somebody brand new. There have been times where I started talking to somebody and they didn't like me and I didn't like them. Or I didn't like them, I should say. Sometimes I liked somebody and they didn't like me. Sometimes somebody liked me, I didn't like them. Sometimes neither of us liked each other. And you could feel it. And to break away and not have it affect you, these are skills that only come with doing it over and over and over again. There are clients that I am on a sales call with that I simply do not like. There are clients who don't like me, but maybe they like my products and they can tolerate me. There's a variety of things that will happen that when you embrace the fact that you're going after a specific goal, it's going to hurt, it's going to suck, but you're going to do it anyway. The more that you do that and you embrace it and you actually go with it, the more you're going to see that by simply doing that, by being okay with it, it might take a year, it might take 2 years, it might take a month, it might take a week, it might take whatever, you will achieve the goal that you want. It's through that fire, through that pain, through that suffering, through the things that other people are unwilling to do, that you're going to achieve what you want. I was training, I was hitting the heavy bag. I always talk about this at the gym, but I was just doing my Muay Thai kicks on the heavy bag. Boom, 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 boom. There was another kid that was next to me, and I could see him trying to kick, and he's kicking with his shins, and you can tell it hurt. And afterward, I said, "Hey, dude, you have really good form. You're doing great." And he's like, "Yeah." How do you say it? He said, "Yeah, I saw your kicks, man. Oh, those are devastating." And I just said, "Just practicing over and over and over again and going through the pain, man." And he's like, "Yeah, I know." And that's it. That's literally all it is. That's way it is for anything in life. If you want to get better at something, and you have to embrace it, you have to go through it. You're going to be embarrassed if you want to be able to talk to anybody. You're going to burn bridges if you want to be a social butterfly. You're going to, if you want to be able to do whatever it is you want, you have to be willing to go through the pain. And it's fun. Once you've done it, it becomes fun and second nature. I can talk to anybody now. And even if they don't like me, it's like, oh, whoa, geez. All right. See you, man. Bye. That's it. But whereas before, I'd be devastated. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that, man. Okay, and now if I go back there, they're going to be like, oh, and everyone's going to look at me. Everyone's going to think I'm weird. And everything is going to say, oh. That's the way it used to be. Now it's like, okay, well, that's your problem, not mine. Go through the pain. Get what you want. Be okay with the failure, and you will achieve everything that you've ever dreamed.